Thank you. It's nice to meet you here. It's nice to see such a filled audience. And first of all, I'd start with a short intro about myself. I am Arsenijs Pičugins. I am a student at Rīgas Technical University. And yeah, I basically started all things technology when I was 13 years old. And it all went downhill from then, because when you get a computer, you get to know about the internet, and well, you change a little bit, especially if you're a small child. So I've been in this technology atmosphere for like, it's a 9th year for now, I guess. I haven't been much a lot about things like penetration testing, and I mean, I love to read about things, and this has been one of my favorite topics, but I haven't gotten to try it until I started this project, except for one correct Wi-Fi password. Generally, what I do is I develop small electronic solutions, and I teach people programming at our local hackerspace, which is like an awesome thing to do, because I just love it so much. But recently, there was a health tech hackathon, and there was a team assembled around one big social problem. Okay, it's not so big, but for the ones influenced, it's pretty damn important. So, first problem is, let me just, well, describe it. ICDs are essentially your, well, autocorrect for your heart. When your heart goes out of rhythm for the first time, well, you get some problems, and you get an implant to prevent those problems. Basically, the implant regulates your heart rhythm when it detects something has gone out of the heart's normal pace. But then somebody decided that it should have internet in it. So the implant collects data. It's awesome. It collects all kinds of maintenance data monitoring. It can, for example, collect data about arrhythmias that happened. And then it sends the data to the base station, which looks like this. It is the base station's case. So you have this base station near the bedside table. And when you're asleep, once a day it collects the data, it relays the data to the manufacturer relays the data to the healthcare provider, and then your doctor gets the data. And the thing is that sometimes you might feel that this data could be of use to you, that you could, for example, improve your lifestyle by excluding things that make your heart go wild, and therefore, you know, prolong your life, which is quite a big of value. So then, we want to give this data to patients, because one of our team, the person who assembled the team, is the patient with this problem with an implant, and with the same exact base station as this one. So, let's maybe look at the bigger picture. So, first of all, it's manufacturers. They're companies, they develop electronic products, and they want to sell them. People buy them. Well, healthcare providers buy them, because they want this ability to collect data. And of course, manufacturers want, well, as any reasonable manufacturer wants, generally to earn money and to do as less as possible, of course, with all measures and reasons included. But sometimes manufacturers just don't take the extra step to make sure the value is worth it. So, and that's the case we would be talking about today. The doctors, another side of the problem, doctors want to treat their patients, and they manage to do it because they get the data. But the patient getting the data is something that doctors either do not think about or even explicitly advise against, because they are worried, and with a good reason, about self-medication and self-treatment and things like that, that usually give them more work, even though sometimes, as with our case, the person who wants to examine the data understands the health problem well enough to draw some conclusions from data that is just inaccessible. And then the next slide, did it? Yes. Next slide is the patients. Again, many of the patients don't even think about such of an issue because, well, some people just don't, some people have better things to think about. Some people just are not that big on their health, and there are many other reasons, but there is a group of the patients who want this data and who want access to their medical records. And thus, this is becoming, a problem as the count of these implanted devices is increasing, and therefore, we have to move against it somehow. So, our case. First of all, a little bit of telling about how we got to the point of thinking about it is we are a team of 4 people that assembled at a health tech hackathon here in Riga in April this year. And of course, we started to thinking, and we first of all we started making connections between ourselves as a team, and a little bit of joking around about such a topic that first attack vector, which we cannot reach into, is the implant itself. It's an implant. It's inside, and therefore it uses wireless communications, and it uses the base station to relay some data, which then would be of value to the doctors and etc. So the risks that not only apply to this vector, but also to all the vectors connected to it, is that first of all, we cannot really send the random comments to the implant because, first of all, it's able to do a self-test measures. One of them is just giving a shock inside the body, and therefore you can't just go register fuzzing all the things and see what happens. And one more thing is that there's specific hardware for the communication, and therefore it is not a viable vector for us, and we've abandoned that option. There's the other thing which would be easier to tap into, and that's the transmissions between the implant and the base station. But of course there are challenges. First of all, it's proprietary technology, so it's hard enough to debug some well-documented standards at times, but it's even harder when you don't even, you can get some ideas, but when the entire protocol, it sends a lot of data, which is highly technical and can be interpreted in many ways. It's even harder to reverse engineer such a protocol, and even though it's not impossible, we've decided not to take this route as well, even though it remains a viable route. And also, that's just what I'm generally doing. So the next option would be base station, and that's what we settled on, and that's what proven to be a reliable way to get the data. At least we are now analyzing the data that is getting extracted from the transmissions. And the thing is, first of all, our goal is to make a solution which would be, well, under $100, so that any patient could assemble their own data collection or extraction hardware, and so that to extract data even from the transmissions, which is possible in the future, or from the base station. So it has to be easily assemblable. As well, it should be assembled. Okay. What I'm trying to say is any person should be able to assemble it and do it in a rather effective way, and buy all the components where they are easy to get. So, if we are trying to attack this, we have to analyze the firmware, because, first of all, mostly you have to disassemble things to analyze them, even though sometimes it's possible not to, but in our case it wasn't. So we had to analyze the firmware a lot, and also think about the possible challenges, such as, for example, there can be data, but what if we have to set up a lot of things to measure it, to extract the data, such as, there are many binaries in the system, and they communicate through some proprietary protocol as well, and we would have to understand that and tap into that. So, the base station. We've managed to get our hands on one, and probably they are easy to get from the nursing homes. When people go away, they leave a lot of their possessions, and so people sell them. And basically anyone can buy a station like that, and there are many kinds of stations from many different manufacturers. So the problem is, a little bit easier to explore, not only for a white hat, but for a black hat as well. And we got one. It has a USB port, which is the only useful port there is, except of one little addition, which is, you can guess it. It's the UART port. So it's basically a debugging facility left on the board, and of course we could tap into that. And my remark is that it's, UART ports left on medical technology, which is, should get at least a little bit protection, if not from the conventional security measures, then at least from security from obscurity. Leaving a debug port and marked as this one is a little bit of, oversight. So I have to say, though, that this piece of technology is fairly old. So it's a little bit dated. So we could cut the manufacturers some slack, because back in the days when this was developed, there wasn't as much people trying to hack into things. But still, this is an oversight. So it runs Linux, therefore it was very easy to, explore it. And we've dumped the file system, and we've analyzed it. And first of all, which is an oversight as well, there are credentials left on the base station, like developer users and usernames and passwords, and as well as, development-specific scripts, which is as well, okay. I'm kind of happy that those FTP servers, if FTP weren't bad enough, they left the passwords. We don't even have to sniff anything. Of course, thankfully the servers were expired. They were no longer accessible. I presume just patched finally, but still. And of course, we found some measures that allow us to not break into the hardware to to be able to get the data from any base station. And the thing is, you can insert a specially formatted USB drive into a base station, which is originally planned for the firmware update and getting reports from the base station. And so we were able to get information about this feature and the various scripts that implement it. And now we are writing a solution which would be able to exploit this thing, this vulnerability, I would say, and also account for any possible firmware changes in future versions. So, the next steps is, of course, developing a solution which is easily buildable, and we are currently exploring an easy way to just take off-the-shelf Raspberry Pi board, plug in an SD card, and make it prepare the flash drive in a way that's suitable for getting reports from the base station, and then transfer it to the Raspberry Pi and maybe do some post-processing on those reports, and then basically our job is done here. And a little shenanigan that I want to make with this station is I want to make a little portable MP3 player, which is by far the most hard part I've experienced at this project, because it's very hard to compile applications for this outdated piece of technology. But still, it's quite an interesting thing to play with. So, the ethical issues. In order to make our solution, which is the goal of our project, to make a solution for everybody to be able to get the data and make sense of it, we have to disclose part of things that we found. Even though there's the first thing that our findings are easily repeatable by people, and anyone can buy a base station and disassemble it and connect a USB UART adapter and get the same things we have disclosed, and some things we haven't, and even some things we haven't found yet. But still, in order to make this solution we are developing easier, we have to disclose parts of preparing the flash drive, and therefore we will give, inadvertently, we'll give an ability for anybody to prepare a flash drive, upon insertion of which anybody would be able to run random code on the base station, which is not that nice, I have to say. So, on one hand, we have to make sure we can reach our goal, and on the other hand, we have to make sure that whatever we disclose doesn't give people yet another attack vectors upon people who are already, have their health compromised. So, and another thing is that I am gradually coming to the point of stating that the security of those devices is not that well implemented. And that is, understandable even by amateur as me. So, we are currently, as a side goal, trying to determine if there are some privacy issues that we can uncover and we can possibly bring into the light, or possibly collaborate with the manufacturer, which is, I'll expand on that later, in order to make sure that those devices not only do give information to the right people, to make sure that those devices do not also give information to the wrong people. So, and speaking about the manufacturers, It's a hard talk to give because I am not that well versed in things that people in corporations do and the ways they do them, because people have their reasons. But I have to say that the manufacturer of this thing has been ignorant to the often published security problems, bearing in mind that both the pacemakers and the base stations are produced by the same company. So basically it's some kind of internal thing which may make it even worse, because the technology is proprietary and there isn't anybody reviewing it or trying to make it better. Just, well, who is an outside agent and therefore, well, could look at the things from another angle. So nothing of this is happening, and then manufacturer is pretty much ignorant about the things that people state about the devices and the things that are true. So the manufacturer is St. Jude Medical, which is, well, a pretty interesting thing, as some of you might have heard about the conflict that is going on now. Basically, there's a security research startup. It's called MedSec. And MedSec, well, I have to say this is a whole new way to get a bug bounty from a manufacturer who doesn't really care. So what they did is they did the research, they did development. So they found some vulnerabilities, and they claim they found a lot, and they claim it in a loud way, and they are willing to cooperate. But at the same time, they have made some arrangements with an investment broker firm, like a company, basically betting on the St. Jude Medical investments to go down, which would, well, yield them money. So they have disclosed this. They have caused a small outrage, well, not that small, and they are actually recouping their development costs by getting some profit from the fact that the SGM's stocks price are falling. So, as I said, it's a pretty fun way to get your bug bounty. And also one small fact is that, it's just a curiosity, I was contacted in September's beginning by somebody whose email was at medsec.com. At the time I didn't know about the conflict, but it was interesting because they have been asking me about my age, like how old are you, developing, well, doing such things, because my project is open source. You can basically Google about it and read all the details that we have disclosed. Sorry. So, speaking about the MedSec, I hope that, well, first of all, it's a good thing that if somebody is going to blame somebody, we are not going to be blamed, because there's MedSec and they are doing a much bigger thing, just in another direction. And second thing is, I hope those things to be addressed, because nobody is safe from ever getting an implant which could potentially leave you in, well, you know, you're cybersecurity specialists. If you knew that there's an implant, well, that is capable of shocking you, if there's somebody nearby with the right set of codes and then hacker F1, for example, well, that's pretty troubling, I would say. So, as I have some time left, I'll spend a minute or two on telling about another development with the same idea, and it's a little bit closer to the people because it's about insulin pumps for the diabetic people and other people who might need the insulin pumps for their well-being, because this is such a popular topic in open hardware movement that people are starting to reverse engineer their insulin pumps and various glucose monitors, and it's all done with the same thing in mind. People want to improve their well-being in case when manufacturers don't give them the means to do so, and doctors are none the wiser. So I hope we will hear more about hacks like this that are connected with health technology and getting data from places that are hard to get data from. And thank you for your attention, and we have some time for the questions.
Questions? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Questions. Well, a comment while others are thinking. Recently, there was a person from security community, and she has a pacemaker, and it was accidentally set to factory settings while she was traveling to a conference of security. So everything ended well. She went to hospital and they reset it to the values that were needed. But being a security specialist and well understanding how things work, realize that your device suddenly jumps to factory settings is probably the last thing that you want to happen if it's actually one thing that is defining if you are dead or not. So I think this is very interesting research. Thank you very much, Arsenijs. Any questions? No? Applauses? Okay. We hope to hear some more next year. I hope you will work fruitfully and come back. Oh, there is a question. Okay.
Hello, my name is Anton. I just wanted to ask, did you get a chance to research on the newest version of their hardware? Is there still an issue? Because what I understood is you have done research on the old version where at the time no one cared about security, but what about today?
Actually, there's an interesting thing that the hardware they were using now. You can hear me, right? Yeah, right. The hardware they are using now is basically the same platform as the hardware that I'm holding in my hands. So it seems like they have tried to lower development costs by staying with the same platform, which is reasonable. But I wouldn't be surprised if the backdoor, the USB backdoor we are planning to use, if it's still in place, because it's basically it's not even really a backdoor. It's a routine for a doctor to get information from a base station using a flash drive, not a wireless connection. So I don't think that will change, and actually I would definitely call it the backdoor because, well, anybody can do this.
Well, I was getting curious, since we have 1 minute left, maybe you can explain what's on your hand, because it's not so often when we see speakers with such devices on, so maybe a few words about that.
It's just a simple, okay, not so simple, but still, it's a computer. It's based on a Raspberry Pi, and it's planned to be a computer which would create some kind of personal area network, uniting all the sensors like fitness bracelets and all kinds of sensors you could have, and etc. And also being connected with your outside things like, well, Also collecting all kinds of information from your environment. It's pretty broad, but currently it just well assists me in my tasks, and generally it plays music. So.
Excellent. So now it's time if you want to change the room. We have 5 minutes break. You can go to another room, come back later, enjoy the other talks, and we start in a few minutes with the next presentation.